Welcome to the greatest American art form, the mixtape. Mixtape, a homemade compilation of media typically from multiple sources recorded into a medium. Mixtape Therapy, a compilation of authentic conversations recorded by multiple people on my podcast. Our connections are experiences that we have, and I hope these mixtapes make us feel more connected. Remember, be authentic. They'll adjust.
Do you feel like y'all were close? Like, did y'all do a lot of stuff together, or did y'all just do family stuff together? There's not a bad answer.
Mostly family stuff together. Like we did. Yeah, we did. We're definitely like closer now, for sure. And again, like you said, not saying we weren't close then, but like,
well,
it's a different bond right now.
You know,
it's a different bond when you can like hang out and you can like communicate with each other. But like, she lies a lot now.
Really?
Yeah. Like yesterday, I was like, "Hey, did you at school?" Because I'm like concerned about this, like, because like she was constipated, and I'm like,
fair.
I'm like, "Hey, did you at school today?" And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like,
"Did you know immediately?"
Well, no, I'm always going to give her the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, yeah. But there's always a chance she's lying
now.
Yeah, because she knows what I want her to say. A lot of the times, like she knows the answer. Like we've been talking about this. I need you to like for the last 2 or 3 days.
So you think she's trying to please you? Like, she thinks she's trying to, like, it'll make Dad happy?
I think she doesn't want to give me a real answer if she thinks I'm going to be disappointed or whatever. And I'm like,
it's tough.
Because a lot of the times I'll be like, hey, there's no right or wrong answer here. Like, I'm okay with whatever you tell me.
Right.
I just kind of want to know. So I'm like, hey, did you at school? Yes. Like, no hesitation. Like, she knew I was going to ask that question. I was like, oh, really? Well, like, who, like, this, whatever. We use this, not whatever. But I'm like, well, who wiped you? She goes, Miss Irish. And I'm like, Miss Irish asked you? Or asked you, wiped you, cleaned you? She's like, yeah. Okay, cool. And this is right when I pick her up. So I'm driving and she's in the back there and I'm like, okay, good. So I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yes. I'm like, because I'm gonna text mommy and mommy's gonna ask Miss Irish and see. So I text Adrian and I'm like, hey, I need you to text Miss Irish and be like, hey, did Tristan today? Yada, yada, yada. She said she did. You cleaned her up. So I look back at Tristan and I'm like, are you sure you went? She's like, no. And I was like, okay, great. Like, but she's not lying to like cover up something bad she did. You know what I mean? She wasn't like when you get like when there's booze gone from your house in high school and your dad asks you if you drank it and you say no. Like she wasn't like afraid she was going to get in trouble. She just wants to please us in such a way that she'll like make up stories about it, if that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And my question is like, why?
Well, like, that's what I said. I'm like, you don't have to lie to me. There's no right or wrong answer here. I just want to know so I can like, you know, like, I just want to know when you go boo-boo, your belly's been hurting, all this business, and I just want to make sure that you're feeling good or whatever. And that's an easy one for her to understand. She's like, okay, cool. She's like, okay, it's fine. Tell Spam Likely to stop calling.
I know. Like, I thought see, look, hey, you know what's crazy about that is I turned my cellular off, right? But I didn't turn my Wi-Fi off.
Oh, yeah. So the call. So yeah, you know, it's at least they got an iPhone. Yeah. Whatever. And she'll also like, I'll give her an answer. And if it's not the answer she wants, she'll be like, no way. Like she asked me yesterday, she was like, hey, can I have a popsicle? I was like, no, man, we're out of popsicles. She's like, no, we're not. Like, I just looked in the freezer. I can see that we're out of popsicles. No, we're not. She'll come over there. She'll look in there. She'll be like, where's all the popsicles? And I was like, you ate them all. Like, no, so it's not really a lie. It's just like, she needs to figure it out for herself.
I mean, I feel like my daughter.
It's a trip, man.
I feel like my daughter's doing that right now. Like, maybe. right now. Like just recently. So I let her sit in the truck while I was unloading groceries not in a car seat. Okay. And so then she gets behind the wheel and she's like, da, 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 like, da, da. And then like, she wants to go. She wants to ride in the truck that way. And I was like, well, we're not going anywhere. 2, you can't do that. And 3, I almost got all these groceries out. So I need you to get out of the truck.
Right. Yeah. And like, we're done in the truck right now.
And she was like, nope. And I was like, not asking. I'm saying this is what we're going to do. I gave you a lot of choices for a lot of things. This is not a choice situation. This is what we need to do because we need to go in the house.
Yeah.
She's like, nope. And I was just like, Okay, well, I'm just to let you know, I am now gonna currently get you out of this truck.
You can either do it yourself, or I'm going to make you get out of this truck.
Because we need to go in the house.
It's too hot out here.
Yeah,
Like-
and I'm giving all the reasons. The first time this happened,
I don't care about the reasons.
The first time this happened was like I put her in the back of the boat. Like I put her inside my boat while I was washing it on the driveway. And I was like, get out. She's like, no. And I got to climb all the way up in the boat to get her out of there. And I was like, will you just come get out of the boat?
She doesn't know that there's no one to lift you into the boat.
No.
Right.
She just thinks, God.
No one's here picking me up, putting me in a boat. Like I've got
I pick you up and put you in a boat. Nobody does that for me.
Right. That train's left the station, man. I like standout.
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a conversation starter. Like, why does, and listen, we don't have to go into the psyche of why people do all the kind of stuff that they do, but it's interesting to me.
Well, I'm always, when someone doesn't do things the way I do them, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. Like, I have genuine curiosity of why, because what if you're doing it better than me? What if you're doing something I don't know about, and like you tell me, and I go, huh? Never thought of it that way. That would be a better way to do that. And if you're like, well, I know. Well,
interesting things spark conversations, which spark questions, which sparks learning to me. It's just boom, 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 boom. Because then, if someone's not different or weird or out of the norm or whatever, I may not ask questions. I may just blow by this person without asking anything, and then I don't get a chance to learn from them. And I do think everybody has something to offer from a learning perspective, but I think something different about them, maybe it's the way they dress, maybe it's the way they shave their facial hair or their tattoo, whatever it is, like I'm going to ask questions about that. And that may be just me, but
as someone that's heavily tattooed that gets asked a lot of questions.
I thought you were just going to stop there. That gets asked.
No, you have to.
What do they ask you? What does this mean?
I mean, it was like, I've never gone through this. I could try real quick. Cliche questions that people ask heavily tattooed people. What was your first tattoo? Does it hurt? How many do you have? Where did you get them from? Who did this tattoo? Why do you have this? What's the one that's most meaningful to you?
Did the Prince Albert hurt?
Yeah, or whatever, right?
You're right.
I mean, it's so like, do you have any piercing? It's like, and so in a weird way, it's like, I didn't get tattoos for everybody else. I got them for me, and I didn't get them to be asked a bunch of questions either. And if you're listening to this, you feel more, I'll answer any question that anybody asks me, by the way, right? But like,
you didn't get them to stand out.
I didn't get it to stand out, but it does. It does. Like you have to, you see a peacock and it's colorful, it stands out. And so that sparks questions. So if someone like you is curious and they ask, like, I have to keep that mindset of like, they're coming to me because on some level, they think I know what I'm talking about because I'm heavily tattooed.
Sure.
So they just want to know. So, try to be, even though it's like the 15,000th time you've answered the question, act like it's the first time and be genuinely giving about your answer.
So back to the whole point of what we're doing here, there's influence there.
Right.
There's influence there. Maybe that person's thinking about getting a tattoo. I've asked you a couple of times, who's your tattoo artist?
No, I mean, no.
Right?
And like,
that's because when I see it, I'm like, man, these look good. Like, I don't want like, so here's my deal with tattoos. Like, people are always a little surprised that I don't have tattoos.
I could see that
have anymore. And because they're just like, I just feel like that's something you would do.
Right.
Like, I think that, because I don't walk around look like a choir boy or whatever. I don't know if is that okay to say? I don't mean that disrespectful at all.
Hey, you know what?
Here's
the minimum. You're aware that it could possibly be offensive, and so you're like, "Hey, I'm not trying to be offensive."
I'm not trying to be offensive.
I think that's the best thing you can do. If you
clean
say something,
clean cut,
whatever,
clean cut. Like you were saying before, do you ever think you'll have a clean cut haircut? Maybe I'll just lose all my hair and then shave it off. I don't know. Whatever.
I just had a nightmare like recently, like because I dress the way I want to dress, right? And like, I was like, am I slowly becoming that old person that is just wearing crazy shit? And then you're just like,
are they clinging to the youth and they'll never grow up?
That, or just like they got into a style and never got out of it, or they just shouldn't be wearing things. But then you see really cool old people that really just have style and they get it and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm shooting for that, but I'm like, am I drifting over into like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, like kind of thing?
Did I gutter ball this?
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, man.
I really don't care though.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like age is a measure of how old you are, but it's mostly a mentality to me when it comes to things like that. If you want to be old, if it's mowing season, man, and you're putting on white New Balances with the blue in, that's what everybody else is doing.
Those are expensive though.
Well, whatever.
Hey, let me tell you, as a sneakerhead, don't be mowing the yard in New Balances. Like, are you crazy? Like, I mean,
why is that the shoe with the Velcro?
Oh no!
Why is that what they're choosing?
No, those are those SAS shoes. Those aren't New Balance.
It's not New Balance.
Fucking Jack Harlow's like fucking just like he's like our whole stock's going down right now.
Yeah, man.
He's like I didn't sign up with New Balance. I have Landon Adams totally bash it.
Totally rip it on a podcast.
Hey, I have a real quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and people categorize you as a knucklehead, like they like that you're like a meathead, or is that's probably
that the same thing?
I'm making them kind of say that they
I've
just
had a lot of labels that are in that same category.
Yes, I mean, I've known you for a while, and I really like you, and I really wouldn't hang out around somebody that was a knucklehead or that's not my style. And just like I've had an old lady, I've opened the door for her, like at a gas station, like I was wearing like a sleeveless shirt, and like she like jumped out of the way, and
like she was nervous.
Yeah, like
you scared her.
I guess. I'm sure on some level that's happened to you, and that's probably why people are like, well, like you should have tattoo. You know what I mean? Like
story. We're in Port Aransas about a month ago for one of my buddy's 40th. Okay, and I'm wearing probably the same. Jorts. I'm wearing jorts like I am right now, right?
But not the Barkley jersey.
No, I wouldn't have the Barkley jersey on. I had a tank top on, but it was a crop. Right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what shoes I had on, but it didn't matter.
You're Zeke Elliott all over the fucking beach.
Yes, right, without the feed me tattoo, okay? So again, so I walk into this store and my buddy who I'm with he's a clean cut dude, right? He's a manager, and he's got people that work under him and stuff like that. Like he works for a corporate company that kind of somewhat mandates how you look, right? They want to be presentable. They want to be professional, right? All that to say, I can't walk into his store and apply for a job there and keep the same look. Yeah. Like it just wouldn't be accepted. Anyways, he's following me in there. I've been friends with this dude for a long time. And he's like, dude, are you going in the store like this? And I'm like, I don't have any other clothes, man. And I'm walking right now. I could really care less. I'm also in Port Aransas. I don't know anybody here. I don't care. Even if I did know anybody. Pulls out his phone and I'm walking through the store, grabbing a few things or whatever. And like, the looks that I would get from people probably in the second part of their life, meaning probably 50 and above, are just like, what is this guy doing here? Like,
hey, bro, imagine that.
Right.
But you can't change clothes.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. You can't change. You can't cover up.
No. I mean, I can.
But the same thing. Like, those people definitely thought this guy's this idiot, this knucklehead, this douchebag, whatever you want, fill in the blank, for sure. I don't really care.
Well, I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, really. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we talked about this the first time we kind of sat down, but like 50% of people are going to like it. 50% of people are going to hate you. Just fuck with the 50% of people that like you. Don't worry about the other 50%. It's just going to I mean, I've had total strangers just come up to me and go, you look like a fucking asshole. I'm like, why, one, why would you lead off with that? Like, two, what did I do to you? Three, why'd you feel the need to come over here? And so on some level, they're probably doing what you're saying, like when you're saying, hey, I'm interested in that person.
It's judgment, man. It's all it is. Yeah.
But I don't know, sometimes, like when you just roll up somebody and you go, hey, you look like an asshole. What is that person really trying to accomplish? Because like no normal person would really kind of do that. So it's almost like
they're mad at their dad, dude.
Well, you're trying to start a conversation of sorts.
Like,
right?
Just say what you really want to say.
Yeah, like just ask me a question, right? You know what I mean? That would be easier. Right. But it's got to be like some sort of shocking.
You don't have to be a dick about it and piss me off, or just not even piss me off. Just turn me off to anything else you have to say.
I mean, try starting any conversation with you look like an asshole.
It doesn't work.
I mean, I don't foresee, like...
I've never tried it. I can't imagine myself trying that, but
No, I can't think of any.
What situation is it? I can't really think of a time when
I'm sure Rodman started many conversations like, "Oh, you look like an asshole."
Yeah. I really like authenticity.
Of course. Right? It's the best.
I love it.
It's all my shit, bro.
I don't like the violent part of it, but when he ran into those stands to defend his team, to defend whatever, like, that's how he wanted to act. He knew he was going to get in trouble for that. And there's something about that is attractive is not the word, but you got to have control over your emotions. But just the fact that he's being authentic was kind of like, he's the guy that did that, right? I want to say there was a Rocket that did this back in the day too. Was it Vernon Maxwell maybe? Runs into the crowd.
Vernon Maxwell fucks some people up,
like
bro.
he didn't care. And I guess he probably didn't make the list because he didn't change his name. He wasn't kind of like the agitator on the team, but I think he had some influence. Again, maybe not positive influence, but we didn't say this is a list about positive influencers.
We just said
overall influence, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's on my list.
Well, let me piggyback on this Ron Artest thing. I think it's pretty well documented that Ron Artest had like some issues.
Sure.
Right.
There's some mental things going on.
Like,
with
I think it's growing up and where he grew up at and the whole thing, so I think that's well documented. So I'm not speaking out of turn, but
he may have been more controversial than influential now that I think think about it, but whatever.
But controversy can be influential. To, Dennis Rodman was controversial.
Sure.
Right. I think, okay. When someone has issues, I don't think they're never not trying to be themselves, right? Like if you have issues, like you're still trying to be yourself.
Yeah.
You're not trying to be a person with issues. You're just a person that has issues.
Sure.
And on some level, that's very
You're not
authentic.
doing it on purpose.
That's very authentic.
Right.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for someone to have issues and be authentic in that way.
But you can still you're being yourself.
But he's being himself. And so, yes, not condoning like violence.
Nope.
But going like, that's what he was gonna do. That's at his time in the NBA. He was pretty much himself. And in some level, so was Rodman. And some level, so was Jordan. But like Ron Artest is like himself, looks a lot different than Jordan by himself, like himself.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so, it does have influence.